Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev L. Zia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. And in this place of light and love, you can't have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Beautiful music. Oops.
There you go.
I said, whoa, I was only half here. That was beautiful music. Yes, we hear it every week, and it's pretty good. I'm Bill Carlton, a practitioner here at CSL Denver, and I invite you to gently close your eyes. Take in a deep breath and release all the negative emotions. Just be present in this beautiful world around us. We feel that oneness of God surrounding all of us and leading us to embrace the imperfections in our lives. We know that oneness is present in the message we receive, the music we hear, the technical support of Chris Leahy and Diego, our producer. I know each and every one participating and attending this service is blessed. I am grateful and give thanks for all that has brought us here at this moment. As we release these words to the universe, knowing they come to us tenfold. And so it is. Our talk for today is the purpose that surpasses all. As Martin Luther King stated in his famous speech, keep moving from this mountain. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But wherever you do, you have to keep moving forward. As truth seekers, we must remain inspired and engaged, even when it feels like we've hit a sandhill. Movement takes many forms, and each is vital to our progress. Let us feel that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high. And then let us go forth and make our dreams come true in human experiences with an invincible intelligence to guide and an immutable law to direct. Let us take our place in any legitimate activity and thus cause our dreams to come to full fruition from the science of mind. Commitment is sticking out when the path gets created. glue between intention and transformation. Commitment is about more than just showing up. It is also about staying when the initial spark fades. Commitment is sticking out when the path gets murky. Commitment means being anchored to your purpose, even when the winds of doubt, resistance, or distractions try to sweep you away. This is from Eugene Holden in the Science of Mind magazine. And now, a bit of music by Susan Clark.
Hello, CSL Denver. Susan Clark with you to provide some music for the service. I want to, as always, extend a special welcome to any of you who might be watching us either now or later online. We're so happy you chose to tune in. Let's see here. I picked out a song today by Faith Rivera. She's one of my favorite New Thought artists. If you haven't heard of her before, check her out, Faith Rivera. She's all over the internet, I'm sure. This song is called Called to Be. So, to me, it's a song about how we're called to serve in many different roles, depending on what our unique talents happen to be. And we need to heed the call, because when we do, we help each other, and in turn we help the world. It helps us to achieve our highest good, I think, when we serve others.
I am called to be a maker.
are called to be forgiveness where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be prayer, living out the truth we seek. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. We are the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We're called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be free, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be free. Oh, what are you called to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So good morning, everybody. It's great to see you. Good morning to everybody online. My name is Reverend Chris Lahiff, and it's my pleasure to be here today. So I wanted to start off today kind of on a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily a somber note, but a note. It was a week. It was a challenging week, and I don't think anybody that's living in the United States right now, in some form or another, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, I'm sure everybody's had some experience this week that was challenging. And so without addressing what's right or wrong, what people stand for, what I wanted to share with you what I'm working on, and this is a thing that I'm always working on, but it's something I think that I want to keep in mind. And this idea comes from, there was a man and a couple, John and Julie Gottman. They are relationship experts, psychologists. I'm not sure of all their academic background, but I was listening to a thing about them, and they deal a lot with, how to help couples stay together when they're starting to fall apart. And he made, I heard him on something, and he made this observation, or they did, that over decades, I mean, these people have been at it for like 40 years. They made this observation, and they said there's one thing that when we see this one thing, when I'm beginning work with a couple, if I see this one thing 99 out of 100 times, that relationship's done. And the one thing that he talked about was contempt. As soon as like one partner or both partners has contempt for the other person, they basically check out. They're not going to show up. They've given up hope, and they no longer want to engage in a way that might lead to a successful, to reestablishing that relationship in a successful way. And that's what like my risk is. When I get triggered, when I see things in the news or out in the world that go so against what I believe and what I think is, I don't like using the word right or wrong, but what is going to create a more harmonious society, I get triggered. And if I feel contempt towards individuals, then that's like a bridge, or it's breaking the bridge. It's a wall in front of me that is going to limit how I might engage or how I might move forward. And I see that happening. There was a lot of that in the news of people that are just like, that's it. They've given up and they don't want to talk anymore. And that, I think, is the risk. However, I am optimistic because I've also found a lot this last week of what I believe, and I really do believe this, that the majority of the people in this country aren't there. There's some people that want to talk about like civil war, but I think there are people that actually feel that, I believe, are a very small portion. But it's something that's easy to like fan those flames of. And that doesn't benefit the majority of us to fan those flames, but it does benefit some people. So that's always something to keep in mind. You know, where follow the money, who does that benefit? But that's not where I wanted to get to, because I know I've mentioned it here before. When I found Centers for Spiritual Living, I was looking for a spiritual place, and I don't want to go to my spiritual community to dredge up everything, to get angry. Like that, to me, this is the place to come and take a break and a step back and like look within and what is mine to do. So the purpose that transcends all, right now, for me, that's to be mindful of that contempt. You know, we can hold contempt for ideologies. We can hold contempt for actions and things that have happened. But for me personally, I have to remind myself that we are all human beings. We all contain that divine spark of life, that divine, the divinity, that everybody before me, everybody that I see in the news that triggers me, there's nothing in them that's not also in me. And so if I'm not able to see it, how can I heal it? And so everybody that triggers that in me and gets me riled up, they're doing me a favor to remind me, like, oh, there's that part of me that's not who I want to be in this world. And that's not, in my opinion, going to lead us into a more harmonious society and a more harmonious humanity. I need a drink of water. So really, I'm not here to tell people what they need to do. I'm not here to tell people don't hold contempt, don't hold people in contempt. That's up to you. And I also wanted to express that the idea of like feeling contempt towards certain people, it comes up. It's a feeling, and feelings, in my estimation, are never wrong. They're there, they're indicators. They help guide us to where we want to be. And like I said, you know, there's nothing in the people that I strongly disagree with that isn't within me. And so when it comes up, then I can make that choice of what I want to be and follow on. And that's where, you know, this whole talk, it really came to me, and really came at a time that I needed it to just remind myself. So I want to share one thing from the Science of Mind. For those of you that have seen me before, you know that this speaks to me on a deep level. It coincides with what put me on this path in the first place. And so I always love like looking at it and seeing. I've yet to find anything in this book, The Science of Mind, that contradicts what I believe the entire universe, our whole point of existence to be. So this is on page 448 in the Science of Mind text, and it's a little section called The Purpose of the Science of Mind. It says, the whole purpose of the science of mind is to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world, which must be perfect, with the material world, which appears imperfect. The spiritual world is the cause of the material. We are spiritual beings governed by mental law. And then this is in all caps. Only that world can appear to us which we mentally perceive. So a person's experience is the logical outcome of their inner vision. Their horizon is limited to the confines of their own consciousness. Wherever this consciousness lacks a true perspective, its outward expression will lack proper harmony. This is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. I want to emphasize that part. I'll come back to it. Since no one lives by proxy, but each unto themselves, every individual must make the test in their own soul. And so just to really get this, one of our spiritual practices that we do in the Science of Mind out there, I'm going to go over one sentence again. This is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's what prayer is. spiritual mind treatments, affirmative prayer, whatever, it doesn't even matter what faith you're in. When you pray, it changes something in your mind, which then changes how we perceive the world, which was also referenced in that quote, because what we perceive out there is that's our reality. And so unless we can have a higher vision that enables us to see that higher vision in the world, we will never perceive it. And so we'll continue to live in this place where we see that division, where we feel hopeless, where we feel like everything is futile. But when we learn to renew our minds through just going within, whatever form of prayer you like. I love the affirmative prayer because of the set of steps that we go through. It does shift something in my mind. And I also know, the more, it's a big word I'm going to use, or a powerful word, distraught I am feeling, that's not a good feeling, to feel distraught. But it's a feeling. Again, I don't want to judge my feelings because they're giving me information. But I know that when I'm feeling more distraught than at other times, it's a lot harder for me to go through spiritual mind treatment to really get into that place of feeling. And so for me, it's finding something in the world, something that's reflected back to me that makes me see, yes, there's good out there. This universe, it means something. And sometimes that's the only prayer that maybe I'll be able to do, is just to find something. I will go out, actively seek it. I've got a note in my phone that has short YouTube videos that when I watch them, I get the goosebumps, and I remember yeah, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. And it brings me back on into alignment with that purpose that transcends all. Okay. Thanks for rolling with me on that. Yeah. This next part, I know I refer to it often in talks, but it was made for this talk because in my life, it was such a turning point in my life. And it was back in 2009, maybe, it was very close to here, a restaurant that was called Racine's. It was a staple of Denver for 40 years. It was a great job. And at that point, I was alcohol-free for about 16 months, and that's kind of my background. I came from a partying background until I realized that doesn't work for me. And so at this point, I'm 16 months free of causing problems in my life due to a substance. And I feel like I should have been on cloud 9. This was my time. I worked hard to get there. Why am I so depressed? And then at this time, all these things converged. And also the things that pulled me out of it also converged. And this is part of it. But one of the things that converged is, I'm standing around. I'd been working there for a couple of years at that point, or a year and a half maybe. And somebody standing next to me, we're talking, and they said, if I'm still doing this job when I'm 30, somebody shoot me. Because we were all servers, and it was a great restaurant, good money, but it was by volume. It was hard work. They said, if I'm still doing this when I'm 30, somebody shoot me. I was 37. And yeah, so it hit me. And this is before I was before things helped pull me out, that I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my God, they're right. This is probably, I'm at my peak. I'm waiting tables. That's with, my education, dropping out of college, with my skills, my history. I'm like, this is the best opportunity I have to make money, and it's killing my body at 37. I can't do this for much longer. And it really felt like, wow, it is all downhill from here. And whew, that was, it was really depressing, to say the least. And I was already depressed. And so it's just another brick in the wall, as Pink Floyd would tell us. And as I started to pull myself out, there was a whole combination in between. It was the first time in my life I had ever tried a medication for my depression. It was the first time that I had learned about or heard people telling stories of meditation and how it improved their lives, but I'd never learned how to do it. I'd never tried. So that's also a component that came in there. Found out through the prescription of medication, and that, I also had a thyroid issue that contributed. But the biggest thing that really contributed was perspective. And like Ernest Holmes talked about, the way that we perceive the world to be is how it is. And I recognize like I'm perceiving like my life to be done. I'm at 37. Like I can easily live another 50 years. Like that is ridiculous to think that it's all downhill from here. Wow, what was I thinking? And so that kind of helped, like, okay, you got to change the way that you're thinking. And I'd had one other time that I have to give credit to, a therapist about a decade before that, that was the first one to point out to me that idea. If you perceive it to be like the end of the world, then for you, it is. If that's truly your perception. So, recognizing that. I have 50 more years at least. What do I want to do then? What do I want to do? And I really tried to still my mind and open up. And it's going to maybe sound trite and cliche, but what came to my mind was, I just want to serve. And like, what kind of a job can I do that serves? Yes, I was serving tables. And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe actually I'm in the right, perfect place. And, a week ago when, I could even think of a couple of these customers that used to drive me nuts, that were, rude and dismissive, condescending. I could still picture, and I know a couple of them that after this happened, then they made me smile. So going from a week before when I was just like having horrible thoughts about how much I disliked this person to like, okay, well, if I'm here to serve, and right now this is serving me well, it provides the perfect hours, the right time of day to work, all kinds of things. It was convenient. It was a good job. So how can I do it in a place that allows me to serve? And so then everything shifted, because then everybody that I saw come in front of me that was sat at a table. People come in at their good times, they come in at their bad times, especially if like where Racine's was. It was real close to Denver Denver General Hospital, as it was called back then. I remembered I had one customer that talked about, how are you doing today? And he's like, not so good. He was there getting lunch before he had to return to the hospital to stay with his dying spouse of many years. Like, ooh. And it put something into perspective for me. Like, okay, so how can I just be here? And, it was just to be kind, just to be smiling, bring what he needs. And that was what I was called to do. But then it brought to mind another customer that I had right around the same time that was definitely a gift from something from beyond. It was the most difficult customer I'd ever experienced at that point, that nothing was right. He wanted sunny side eggs, eggs sunny side up. No runny yolk. Like, how do you do that? You have to flip it over to make it not runny. We just could not connect. And I was trying. I'm like, okay, I decided I want to serve. I decided I want to be patient. And luckily, it was, putting those two different customers into perspective that pointed me to, I don't know what this person's going through. And so then, like, what if he was here taking a lunch break away from helping his loved one transition to the other side? And I'm going to come back at him and throw the same vitriol at him, because he was using words. I tried to get my manager. I'm like, okay, I've tried everything. I need somebody else to talk to them. My manager wouldn't even go talk to this person because it was so verbally abusive and over the top. We got through it. I got through it. But I know, like, as far as purpose goes, I felt much better when I realized I'm not putting that out there. What do I want the world to see? If I want to preach compassion, if I want to preach patience, I need to be that. So in the preparation of this talk, I came across a TED Talk, and it was, I want to put in a quick plug for this other thing first. It was the happiness course, and I forget what it was called, at Yale. And it was like their kind of answer to Harvard's, which at both campuses, it became their most popular course. And it was a psychology course, and it was based on positive psychology. all up until positive psychology, until that term was coined, it was always about finding out, why things don't work for people. And then finally, and I forget who it was, and I feel really bad about it now. I should have thought of this. Somebody said, well, but who's looking at the people that things are working for and seeing what they do? And that's really, evolved a lot. I want to say that was like early 90s when they coined that term of positive psychology. But anyway, this happiness course at Yale, if you go to Coursera, you can take the entire course for free. It's like 10 modules. And the teacher or professor, Dr. Laurie Santos, is amazing. And it gives a lot of the ideas, like when we're not feeling happy, there's scientifically proven mechanisms and reasons why about how we perceive things. When we perceive something's going to be really great, when we achieve it, it fades pretty quickly. So it doesn't bring the happiness that we thought that it would. And the things that we're dreading, we don't want this to happen because it'll be awful. When it happens, we realize pretty quickly it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. We get through it. And that was a big part of the course. So anyway, she was on a podcast. I was listening to her podcast that had on Elizabeth Dunn. And Elizabeth Dunn, one of the things that she's known for, she did an experiment where they just found like 200 random people. And they said, it's your lucky day. Here's $20. For the first 100 people, take this $100, go out there and spend it on something for you. Frivolous, just treat yourself on something nice. And, before they had this, they measured and had ways of questionnaires that figure out like, where's their baseline happiness level at right now? The other 100 people, they're like, hey, it's your lucky day. Here's $20. The catch is you can't spend it on yourself. Go out there and spend it on somebody else. Our initial thoughts, or at least what they expected, is most people perceive like which group's going to get more happiness out of that process. And most people are like, well, you want to treat yourself, So people that get to spend it on themselves, they're probably going to get a bigger boost than the people that spend it on somebody else. Yeah, now all the studies point to that same thing. The people that got the experience of giving it to somebody else raised their perceived levels of happiness in a bigger boost than the ones that got to spend it on themselves. And so I want to use a quote from her TED Talk. Again, her name is Elizabeth Dunn. It's a wonderful TED Talk if you want to go look it up. But she said, we have evolved as humans to find joy in helping others. Let's stop thinking about giving as this moral obligation and start thinking of it as a source of pleasure. That sense of moral obligation, like, we should help others. We should help the less fortunate. Then it kind of creates an idea of guilt when I'm not doing it. Then I'm wrong. And those people that aren't helping others, they're wrong. But the thing is, if I'm not doing it, I'm depriving myself of greater pleasure and greater happiness. And the people that are out there also, like, when we recognize the things that lead to our greater experience and perception of happiness, they're things that ripple out, that make the world into that place that, I think it's fair to say that the majority of people in this country and in the world want the general same things. We'd like to see peace. We'd like to not see people that are starving. We'd like to know that people are safe and secure. And, I think also, again, no matter where your perspective is, if you fear people wanting to harm you, to take what you have, if we make sure that people have what they need, they're not going to be out there taking, feeling the need to take from others. It's just this, we've gotten so backwards and off track of what really makes the world a better place. And so, getting back to that story from Racine's, up until that point in my life, I had never taken a pause and just said, what do I want to do? What is my purpose? Why am I here in the first place? And I think, Ernest Holmes teaches, and I firmly believe this, that we all have that call within us, a call. Doesn't have to be what I called, might sound trite and cliche. It doesn't have to be serve others. It's what do you feel you're here to do? And then if we do that, everything else doesn't hold the same weight or the same consequence to us. I know for the meme, I used a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, and it is, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," which points me to a couple of spiritual teachers that contemporaries or somewhat contemporary. Nelson Mandela, he had that experience when he was locked up in prison in South Africa and apartheid. He had a switch. He spent many years there in that resistance, and he hated the people that his jailers that he had to deal with on a daily basis. And at some point he had that switch, like, if I'm going to be here, how do I make the best of it? And so then he started asking, like, do you have children? Do you like art? Or, whatever he was thinking about. And he started to soften that resistance and seeing the humanity in the people that, they were beating him. They were doing awful things. And he still made a point of seeking the humanity in them. And they softened. And the whole prison slowly rippled into softer places. And of course, all of this, it developed and contributed to him eventually becoming the president of South Africa after being released. When it looked like he would never be released, he would die there. There's power in these things. And I really love that Elizabeth Dunn, that, is that her first name? Yeah. That we need to think of it not as that obligation, but as something that is pleasure, something that brings us to that deeper place. So with that being said, I love Reverend Elzea and how he likes a call to action. So what are we going to do with it? Like all this stuff sounds great, but what are we going to do with it? What I want to encourage as a call to action for this week, and it's a reminder to me, is do something that makes you feel good. Right now, I know when we look at the world, there are people that are actively being treated horribly, that are in like survival, legit survival mode. I feel like I spend a lot of time in survival mode, but I recognize like not in active. So there's that group of people. There's other people that are fighting, that are on the ground. And again, like, I'm not here to say who's right or wrong, because it doesn't really matter where your perspectives or your political leanings are. There's a group of people that are actively fighting for what they believe needs to be, and they're feeling distress. And then there's people that are so shored up right now that are living lives of privilege. And sometimes we can feel like, well, I should be doing more. It's that sense of moral obligation again. Do what we can, because life is heavy and hard. And one thing that I always try to encourage my children, I have one here today, love you, is to does that action, life is hard enough. Do we want to do something that's going to make life even harder for somebody, or do we want to do something that lifts somebody up? And sometimes it means, okay, I just don't do anything, because that's the best I can do. In this moment when I'm activated, maybe that's the best thing. Okay, I can walk away. So I want to, for the call to action, I want to encourage people to do something that takes your mind away from the mental fatigue, the mental stress, and maybe it's sadness, whatever it is. Find time to take care of ourselves, of yourself, because whatever that purpose is, we can do it much more efficiently and effectively when we are coming from a place of being able to. But if we're doing it from that place of like, I got to do it every second of every day, there's people suffering, I've got to do this, I got to do that, we burn ourselves out. And that leads us back to that place of contempt. It leads us back to that place of hopelessness. And then we're not serving anything, and we're contributing to just more of the inaction from sheer exhaustion. And so my reminder to myself, and take it with you if it resonates with you. If not, fine. I hope that you find something else that helps you for a call to action this week. But just reminding, like, everything that happens in the world, I have absolute faith in knowing that we are getting to a place where love reigns. It may not seem like it at times, but I also know that that's when the darkness before the dawn. I really believe that we are there, and we're seeing within ourselves as individuals where we need to grow in order to perceive the world as we wish it to be, and collectively we're seeing what works and what doesn't. It's holding true to. We can hold that contempt for the things that we don't like, and we can stand up and speak out. But remembering that there, but for the grace of God, go I, because it's all within all of us. And it's a matter of making a conscious choice. And for me, wanting to serve, my conscious choice is to, every time I get triggered, to stop and ask myself, what leads towards that world of harmony that I know is possible, that I know is waiting for us, that I know is already formed in the mind of spirit, is already formed in, as Ernest Holmes called it, the spiritual world is the cause of the creation of this material world. And I know that that seed's been planted for decades, and I know that it's coming to fruition, and I believe that it can happen in our lifetime, and I believe it is happening. So with that, I invite us all just to take it inside for a second. Just take a moment wherever you are, and just let out a deep breath. Recognizing that there is only one infinite mind, that consciousness all stems from the same source. There's only one source of all consciousness, of all life. Whatever we want to call it, it doesn't matter what we call it, but it is everything. Our entire world is formed of this thinking, being energy. So knowing that I am that, knowing that everybody that hears these words are that, I know that that consciousness speaks to us, but we have to be still. Typically, we need to be still in order to hear that voice within. So I invite us all, and I affirm that when we take a moment to pause and we ask our higher self, what is mine to do? That answers show up, either in the moment or in the days to follow, in subtle ways, but we are guided when we remember to ask. So I invite us all to take care of ourselves, take care of one another, recognizing that we're all children, manifestations of that infinite presence that is all life, and that it's all our purpose of being here in this material world to forget our divine nature in order to allow us to choose it. That it is calling to us at all times, that we are on that upward spiral of evolution, of conscious growth, and that we can let go of the ways that cause suffering and pain and feelings of separation from that infinite spiritual source of which we are, to embrace the challenges of humanity that we are here to experience, knowing that we are guided, we're led, that deepest part of us can never be harmed, can never become less, can never become more. It is whole, perfect, and complete. And that each of us finds what we need as we go throughout these weeks, listening to that call within. So in gratitude for it all, in deep gratitude for every physical manifestation of that divine known as human beings here on this planet, I say thank you for each and every one, because everyone is a teacher. Everyone is a reflection. And what a joy to behold the rich diversity of experiences that we get to have in this physical world. So gratitude for it all, and for all of you, I say thank you. And I release these words knowing it's already done in the mind of spirit. Now we get to see it unfold through the actions we are inspired to take. And we can affirm that it is so by saying, and so it is. So it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Chris. Very impactful talk. A lot of food for thought. So now it's time for our offertory, and we are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support of CSL Denver, whether it's in time, treasure, or talent, and especially during these times. Whether this is your first time joining us or you are a returning community participant, we want to thank you so much for all that you do for Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Right now, there are several ways you can make your financial contribution to Center for Spiritual Living Denver. This information is running along the bottom, hopefully. Maybe not. Anyway, you can either go online to www.csldenver.org and hit the donate button. We have a text to give phone number, and if you don't see it on the bottom of the screen, then I can give you that information. Or you can mail a check to our PO box, or you can put money in the plate that's being passed around. So anyway, I ask you to just hold your hands to your heart, with or without your give, just knowing, just feeling that, just stepping into that, as Reverend Chris said, being that call to whatever our purpose is, and repeat our affirmation. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. And so a few announcements. We still have a couple issues left of the September-October Science Mind magazine. It's $10. It's over on the fellowship table. We also have some free ones that you're welcome to help yourself to. And not next week, but the following week, September 28th, is our next community cafe. And it's going to be Reverend Delzia, and he's going to be discussing the book, This Thing Called You. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. So he will be talking about Ernest Holmes' classic metaphysical, This Thing Called You. That's just such a powerful, powerful book. And let's see, the community cafe, we invite you to bring a dish to share, people to join with you. And we don't do a service. We just keep the tables up. We have food, we share, we have a community talk, and we just enjoy each other. And that's just the way we like it. And our Curiosity Corner, we still have a lot of stuff. So please take a look see what we've got. If there's anything that you want to go home with, because it needs a new home.
When's the next Divine Dialogue?
What? The next Divine Dialogue is next week. It's always the third Sunday of every month. So every week, but the second Sunday, which is this week, Reverend Chris gets off this week. A lot of times we have him join us, which is just wonderful. So the Divine Dialogue is next week. So it's just getting together after the service and having a Divine Dialogue. We are so blessed to have New Thought Media Network and Diego as our Sunday service producer. We invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org and check out what they have. They have over 40 hours of weekly broadcasts, probably, just a lot. They do have a lot. And they have some great things. There's always something for everyone. And we have on Friday nights, on our Facebook, and Now the Good News. So some great stories about just good news, which we need this in these days and these times. And we are so truly blessed by everyone who has chosen to support CSL Denver by showing up on Sundays or watching our services online. We know that as we move through the rest of this year, the Divine Beloved is guiding and loving each and every one of us. Thank you for joining us. Now let's close out with Karen Drucker singing I'm So Grateful. Please join us for fellowship afterwards.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so grateful. Just count my blessings.